Interesting news. You just brought up Cecil. Phil and Zach had him on the drive just about a half hour ago.
Okay.
And talking about what the Broncos are going to do. So we'll spend some time on that. The report's coming out. The Broncos aren't messing around. If they're going to get a quarterback, they're moving up to do it. There's going to be one guy. They'll push everything into the center of the table, Danny, and then they're going to build from there.
Oh, so you believe that's the case, or you believe that has to be their train of thought?
Listen, man, you can push it all in, whether you have 5 chips or 250. I mean, yeah, everyone can say I'm going all in. The problem is we don't have a lot of chips. So
I'm going all in.
I too like to live dangerously
with 3 red chips and 1 green chip. No, man.
That's an IOU, sir. 275,000. Might want to hang on to that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I think that the problem is, you know what? It's what they have to do. It's a risk they have to take. They can't move forward otherwise. I know with these when they're in the divisional round, there's 8 quarterbacks left, and 7 were first round picks, and 1 was Brock Purdy. That kind of tells you a lot. It just tells you a lot. And the reality is, the higher you draft, the closer to number 1, the better the odds are you're going to hit on the right guy, because the guy there will be more talented. What I'm hoping here is that there's a Josh Allen in this draft who's got number 1 abilities, 5 tools, all that kind of stuff. But the knock on him is that, he played at Wyoming and was throwing to receivers that were built like you and I. You know what I mean? So who is that guy in this draft? We call it the yeah buts. The yeah but guys. Like Lamar Jackson was a yeah but guy. Rosen was like, yeah, but, Josh Allen was kind of like, yeah, but. So it depending on what the but is, the yeah, but.
Yeah, then, don't go Rosen. I mean, you were on a roll. And then you bring in Rosen.
Man, I'm trying to impress everybody around here, too, and I go with that.
What are you doing?
I'm saying that's just the risk you kind of have to take. And I bring up Rosen because, obviously, those 5 guys in that draft.
So you don't believe that?
Draft.
You don't believe that this is the method that they're going to attack?
No, I do. I'm totally with you, but you said it as though you knew something for sure.
No, I'm not saying I believe it.
You were talking to Cecil's friends at the Senior Bowl again.
No, I was saying what Cecil said on their show and what he's been writing about is that the people that he's talking to, they're saying Broncos are going to go all in. Do you believe that is my question?
I mean, if the right guy's there in the right situation, going all in.
Don't skirt around it, though. I mean, right guy. Who's your right guy?
Okay, but here's what I'm saying. When the Niners moved from 12 to 6 and then 6 to 3 for Trey Lance, was it for Trey Lance or was it to get as close as possible to one of the quarterbacks who was going to go 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Well, if you believe them afterwards, he was their guy, and he was their guy all along. That's why they made the move.
Okay, so I would say there's no price worth paying to get to the right guy. What did they give up for to get to 10 from 28, the Chiefs, to get Patrick Mahomes? I guess we'll never know.
No, you can look that up.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's to me, there's no price too steep to go and get your guy. And if it's the wrong guy, we'll realize that in 2 years and we'll have to do this thing all over again. But, if they're just I believe in,
Listen. I love that mentality. I mean, I think the Texans did it, right? When Brock didn't re-sign here, the Texans are like, oh, we'll make him our guy. We'll pay him that much more, and he'll become our franchise quarterback. Well, the Texans saw him for 1 year. 1 year in Houston. And they're like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And they went and drafted Deshaun Watson right after.
Yeah.
That's fine. But here, all you keep hearing about, Danny, is the depleted roster and how many holes this team has. You do that, and then you become – who do you become? Like if you miss this year and you don't have any pieces and you gave up all your draft capital to move up, then we're
I think you need to build up front. Well, I think you need to start, take the best or second best defensive player. No, the reality is all the little
then
gaps.
You're getting footsteps Falco.
All the little gaps that need to be filled, the cracks on the side of the house, or need a paint job. The quarterback covers all of those. So it's just the investment can never be too high.
No, yeah, if he's right, if it's the right guy.
Yeah, but that's what we're doing here. So it's do we then talk about – I think we're too far out to talk about the guys who potentially can be drafted. But, okay, then why not –
Do you trust this group to pick the right guy?
Do I trust it? We have to.
What?
We have no other
No,
choice.
we don't. But then what are you talking about?
I'm saying Sean Payton's not
This
gay.
isn't the Hunger Games. You don't just have to go with what they decide, man. I mean, you're in a different district. You can make your own mind up.
What if I sacrifice his as a
May the odds be ever in your favor.
I don't know.
It's got to be the right guy, though.
Of course it's got to be the right guy, but Sean Payton's picking this guy. And it looks like, George Payton's going to be one of a couple guys now that are going to help him make that decision. So, how is Sean? Do we go back and look at who and how Sean Payton is drafted before? Garett Grayson, your guy from CSU. Wow. Give me other quarterbacks. Wow. I don't mean to do that to you.
That's messed up, dude.
The kids would say roasted.
Yes,
roasted. No cap. But
third-round pick on him too, huh?
Well, he was built okay.
Fooled you.
But the reality is Sean Payton's going to draft whoever this guy might be. So I think what we should be hoping is, if Bo Nix was worth a damn, he'd have came out 2 or 3 years ago.
Hold up, though.
Okay, I didn't want no 26-year-old quarterback. I don't want.
There's a lot of movement that can happen between now. I mean, even just this week at the Senior Bowl. Look at how many people improve their draft status because of the way that they perform down there in practice and then ultimately in the game.
I just think if you're a 22-year-old quarterback drafted in the NFL, the 22 to kind of 25 or 26, those 3 or 4 years will turn you into a star or really kind of make or break you. If I'm a guy who's a little bit older already, I just think that's a guy who's wasn't talented enough to come out a couple of years ago. And again, what are we, a doctor? What are we, Tommy Boy? I mean,
a lot of people go to school for 7 years.
Yeah, they're called doctors.
They're called quarterbacks, Danny, at Oregon.
So, Bo Nix is nice. It's like I'm not going to, my guy, it's Michael, but to come in here right now and see that kind of stuff, it's too strong, okay? Plus, we only have an hour. If I got 4 hours like Josh and those other guys, then maybe we got to go down that road, okay? But, it's just kind of the reality of it. We have no choice. We, as in Broncos country.
Dude, it isn't Tuesday, but I was looking for a little bit more of a hot take than we have to trust the organization. Like, really?
No, it's you don't. I don't want to go down that road that it seems like Phillip and Zach are, where they're kind of making a little bit of. It feels like, at least Phil, he doesn't believe in Sean Payton. He doesn't believe in him. So he wouldn't, no matter what, doesn't sound like he's going to believe in the quarterback that he would draft. Sean Payton turned what was really a huge mess here into kind of being right there on the brink of the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, they were.
And then you saw, if you just kind of can make it into the playoffs, what a team like Tampa Bay can do. So how far are the Broncos away from the Niners and from the Chiefs? Probably a Grand Canyon. Oh, yeah, they beat the Chiefs. Well, it seems when did
Sean
they beat
Payton,
the Chiefs?
let me give you an analogy.
What kind of Chiefs did they beat?
Let me give you an
analogy. But how far
analogy.
are they away, real quick, from being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They're right there from being a team like that. If you get a Baker type.
Sean and Russ, they didn't come in on the best of terms. They were kind of like friends first, right? And then all of a sudden, oh, you want to date? Yeah, maybe we can date. Maybe we'll try and make it exclusive. Then Russ messed up and said, I love you. And Sean got scared. So he yelled at him in Detroit in front of the nation.
Yeah.
And then benched him a week later after he didn't perform in the New England game. Not to mention that somebody fumbled the ball right on the goal line in that game. Then they brought him back to tie.
Listen, you're onto something. Classic celebrity relationship. It seems like Miley and the other Thor's brother Hemsworth should have been together, could have been together. It seemed to have made too much sense. Both young stars on the rise. But it just kind of, when he realized Miley doesn't shave her armpits and stuff like that, just stuff like that, you realize this isn't probably going to work, and this wasn't, all what we thought it was going to be. Those two were never going to work. Because
then why do you take the job?
Because I think at some point or another, Sean tells them, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to give this outfit my all because that's who I am and what I am, but I'm not going to be tied to this quarterback. He's not my quarterback. and maybe even, again, you're trying to get the job, so you're not going to tear Russ down. It's probably like, I've played against him for a lot of years.
I don't know about you, but if you're looking at employment opportunities and then you're like, dude, I don't love this guy. I don't think I can make it work. Because all we've heard from even after the season or after they had their little in-season spat was that it was never going to work from the start. That they didn't see eye to eye, and Sean never really warmed up to Russ. You would know that prior to taking a job. Am I right?
Russ was like on the third date, I love you, Sean. And Sean was like, all right, good night. Call me. Let's get back together, and let's do this again.
Now the bed you've made is you have to pay that guy to not be here.
That doesn't matter anymore.
Ugh.
I mean, like, none of that matters now. We shouldn't even talk about Russ anymore.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
I mean,
of course it matters against the cap. That matters.
It does, but the only reason why this works is because they're going to go draft a quarterback in the first round who's going to make some money, but not top flight $40 million quarterback money.
Right, but
that's going to offset this whole thing, to be honest with you. It doesn't make it right, and it doesn't, I'm not telling it to make you, not telling it to make you feel better, but that's just the reality of the situation. So if you're saying, like, we're out of the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes, yeah, we probably are. Because we were walking in, it's like, what's the best case situation and scenario? The Broncos are going to do what every team does. They're going to find a veteran quarterback, whether that's Stidham or, again, you're Mac Jones. This is it's not what I want. But also, they'll have drafted.
We're going to. KJ, you might have to mute his mic. This word vomit. He's going to get on verbal timeout here.
Listen,
you're telling me everything I hate.
I should have started with saying. Sorry, guys. That's what I should have started by saying. They're going to draft a quarterback in the first round. The veteran, who's a guy who Sean probably believes in at $8 million on a 1-year deal. He starts the season,
sunshine
and he takes you as far
right
as that could be 3 weeks, dude. He takes you as far. It could be 0-3, and you're just like, hey, this guy's not giving us what we wanted. We got to go with the young guy.
What is
Let's go with
short for?
Fantastic.
No, and you know the answer to this.
Fundamentally sound.
Fanatic.
The big fundamental.
You sound like a fanatic right now. That it's just sunshine and rainbows. It's all going to work out.
No, but that's just what they kind of are in position to have to do. And if there's any,
I don't know if I'm reading you incorrectly, but it kind of sounds like you're like, yeah, that's good. They are where they are. It's good. It's all good, no matter what.
No, but
there's a lot of problems here.
Listen, you're acting though as you have the pick of the litter, and we can go get an answer.
No.
Listen, you're acting like, do you even know who my father is?
No.
And bro, we beggars can't be choosers. We have to find the quarterback through the draft, the first round pick. But also the reality is they're going to start some veteran guy to see how far this guy can take us until we pull the plug on it in week 6.
Oh, I disagree with that completely.
2-4.
If you get your guy, why do you even have a veteran?
I'm with you there.
Then just let him start, let him play, let him get it figured out.
Unless that guy's like 22 or 21 and super just kind of getting up to speed and really raw, then there is something to that. I mean, I'm with you, but I'm a let this guy throw him into the fire day one, sink or swim.
We're gonna introduce our draft class, and it'll be like, here's this one guy. Welcome to Denver.
So do you have a better plan or solution? Is there another course of action that the Broncos could
go? They're just not in a good spot. Like, I don't see, and I've gone over this with Will many a time, I just don't see how there's a solution without having to wait another 4 to 5, maybe 6 years before. And not to mention, you got Patrick Mahomes in your division. You beat him for the first time. And this is a down year for them. They keep saying that.
Can I give
you? The problem is he's an all-time great already, and he just finds ways to win, whether his defense is terrible or whether the offense is sputtering. He just finds a way to do it, and he's within your division. And we don't have an answer for that at the most important position in all of professional sports.
Let me give you one glimmer of a speck of hope, okay? The Broncos as a franchise have never drafted a quarterback with, what's the highest they've ever drafted a quarterback in the first round? Ever. Was it Paxton? Was
It
there
might have been
there-
Tommy Maddox. I don't
okay,
know where
no,
Tommy
Maddox
Maddox.
is 25, I think.
Okay.
Okay, but that's beautiful. Good work.
And where
Paxton
is
was 26. Okay.
Yes.
So drafting Paxton at 26 overall in the first round.
Who was your guy?
Well, again, when Cecil's pumping him up and he's senior bowling me with this stuff, I'm going to believe it. But listen, so you go from Payton, right? And you kind of invest in the Hall of Fame quarterback. John Elway lands the greatest free agent in the history of professional sports. Okay?
Yeah.
After that, they go with Trev for a year. Okay? They go with Trevor for a year. We don't realize the guy's kind of pretty decent, and maybe we should have rolled with him, went a little bit further. Okay, you're saying no, and I agree with you too. They feel like they need a more talented guy. They go with the late first-round pick in Paxton. Paxton is a huge disaster.
Woof.
Okay, right. So what do they do next? They go with Case Keenum. They go get the guy who's just need a little bit more seasoning, with this, what they would hope Geno Smith maybe would have been. And we saw how that worked out. Well, then they go to Flacco. Did they go Flacco before Keenum? Then they go to
No.
Flacco, okay? The John said the quarterback at the end of his prime, and he's got still something left. And, let's just hope that it was Lamar Jackson who they had to start because he was kind of just really, really due to break out and leaving some meat on the bone with Joe Flacco, okay? So they go down that road. Then they go with the second-round pick and Drew Lock, and that doesn't work as well. What broke all of our hearts and why we feel like we can't just get this, like, will we ever be great again, is because we felt like with Russ, we dipped back into the Peyton Manning future Hall of Famer well to get us right. And now when that didn't work, it feels like we're back to the beginning and nothing has worked. But the reality of the situation is, and that includes John Elway. They didn't draft John Elway. They traded for John Elway.
Yeah.
They've never drafted a quarterback with like a single-digit pick, with a quote-unquote lottery pick. They've never done that in the history of this franchise. And what is this franchise as good as any at? Making history. Well, at least they used to be. So thanks, KJ, for pulling me up there. But yeah, that's just my thought.
What does it all
my
mean,
thought is
Basil?
like the Broncos have never been here at this point to go draft, whether it's Drake May or one of these guys. Don't say Wolf, because we don't know yet. With the going from 12 to
Wolf.
7.
Wolf or Wolf?
Blitzer. I was talking about the reporter.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
If they move from 12 to 8, then you got to hope at 8 or 7 is the same type of pick in Justin Herbert, who was drafted at 6 overall, I think, and Josh Allen, who was drafted at 6. That seems to be that little spot there where let's go get that guy who is, not as good as the number 1 guy, but maybe
Well,
big picture could be.
you can hope in
long
one
term.
hand, Danny, and poo in the other, and see which fills up first.
Okay.
Sounds like you're buying on hope. I'm kind of in a little bit more reality, which
Yeah. Thanks
just-
for.
I just don't listen. Hopefully they get it all right. Hopefully in like 6 months to a year, you're like, man, what a job the Broncos pulled off.
Okay, do you know you just said the word hope, right? So like if you don't have the quarterback of the future, the young guy who essentially is your hope, then what do you want to have? Like what's the next best thing? A really high pick and the thought of drafting that guy, which is like the next great hope, So what gives and would give you hope as a Broncos fan here moving forward? Because you sound like
the reality
you're in a
is,
dark place. I'm trying everything
Dude,
here.
the-
KJ, I'm pulling out all the tricks from my bag here. I got a card
Danny,
trick.
the league just hawked on your burger. Vegas just hawked on your burger. Look at where they're at to win the Super Bowl next year. They're tied for third to last.
I did the one where I cut the lady in half and pulled the two things apart and pulled it back together, and she got out. You're like, how did he even do that?
They got to pull a magic trick out. Otherwise, I don't know how you compete
Okay,
in this
well,
division. Hold up, you can't beat the Raiders, even with Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
You luckily now, I guess not luckily, you're in trouble with the Chargers with Harbaugh going there.
Yeah.
And we know what the reality has been with the Chiefs.
Okay.
So, that's what I'm saying is that the reality is I don't know that they're going to be competitive in the next 3, 4, 5 years. And the ownership comes out and say, "Hey, we're just as desperate to win as you guys are." That's great, but if you don't have something to put in and you're throwing out the replacements, we have issues.
They got to draft a quarterback in the with a top 10 pick. You probably have to move up a little bit to do it, and they can. And you got to hope that
Yeah.
guy's franchise altering.
Well,